My amigos and amigas, how are you? Joe McCall here. Today is day 5 of my 5 steps to 5 offers video series that I'm doing here. And today I'm going to be talking about how to make money. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where you actually profit from all the work that you've been doing, right? We've picked the right market. We've found where the buyers are, what they're buying. We found the sellers. We made offers. Now we got a deal under contract and we need to sell it. And there's a lot of different ways that you can sell your deals. I'm going to be talking about that right now on this video. I want to mention something here first. If you've not already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm glad you're here. This is the last video. I'm going to share my mind map right now with you. And one of the things I forgot to share with you on the last day 4 was all about making the contracts. And you can actually get my contract for free at simplelandkit.com. And when you make an offer, this is what I send to them. This is and again, you can get this for free at simplelandkit.com. But it's basically a simple cover letter. Your headline, your header stuff goes here, right? This is where dear seller's name, thank you for responding to our letter or postcard about purchasing your property at XYZ, acres, APN number, whatever you want to put here. And here I'm ready to make you an offer. And this is where you put in the information about the offer, talk a little bit about yourself, you sign it, and then you give some instructions on how to return this to you. I usually get a lot of our contracts actually, the seller just prints it, signs it, and takes a picture of it with their phone and texts it back to us using FreedomSoft. You can also do digital signatures. You can tell the seller just email it to us or mail it to us here. Now, the second page is our actual contract. It's a very simple one-page contract. A few things you should note here. Always have attorneys review your contracts before you use them, okay? We do not put earnest money deposit on here. Sometimes we do earnest money deposit, sometimes we don't. This also says this agreement is assignable, and our performance on buying this property is contingent on a satisfactory due diligence. And we give ourselves 90 days. We don't give them an actual date that would close. It's just 90 days from now. We also can request an additional 30 days if we need it. We won't buy the property unless it's free and clear and unencumbered of any city tax liens or judgments, et cetera, et cetera. We do give them an expiration for when to get this back to us. And we're letting them know, hey, we're going to make a profit on this deal, and they're giving us permission to market the property for buyers, whether cash buyers or owner financing buyers, before we actually close. And we retain the right to terminate the agreement by delivering to the seller a written notice of cancellation. Okay, so it's very simple one-page contract. We recently added a third page. This is called an authorization to sign listing documents and offers, or you could call it a limited power of attorney. Basically, if you're going to list your property on the MLS before you own it, this gives you permission to do that. This doesn't always work in all markets. Some people have never heard of this, but if we are getting any heartburn from the agent about listing it because we don't own it, usually this solves all of that problem. Or I'm going to talk about this in a little bit. You can actually just close on the deal. Go ahead and close on the deal and buy it. But you're Joe, where am I going to get the money to do that? You're going to use mine. Okay, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So that's the 3-page contract. Again, this is free. You can get it at simplelandkit.com. Go check that out. And all the links for this video are going to be below in the description of this video on YouTube. Now, selling the deals. This is really important. I want to talk about this for a minute. You can only sell deals people want to buy, whether you're doing land or houses. It makes perfect sense, right? So think about that. I always put myself in the mind of the buyer. What would the buyer want to buy in this market? What would they not want to buy? Maybe in this area, and we've sold a lot of deals in Florida that are partial wetlands. Maybe it's not a big deal because buyers are buying those in those areas. They're more recreational land. They don't have any plans to build a house there. They just want a place that's close to the river that they can go camping, ride their four-wheelers, maybe go mudding, So what are the buyers buying in these markets that you're in? And you can only sell deals that people want to buy. Okay. So what if everybody's buying properties in that area for 100 grand? Are they going to want to buy a similar property for 150 grand? No. Okay. What if everybody's buying quarter-acre lots? Are you going to be able to sell a deal that's a 5-10 acre lot? Yeah, maybe, but you're not going to have as many buyers. The other way around. If everybody's buying 20-acre lots, are you going to be able to sell a little quarter-acre lot? No. So you just have to be aware of this. Always think about putting yourself in the mind of the buyer. And I talked about this when making offers. When you're making offers, think about what the similar competition, what similar properties are currently advertising for. And you want to make sure yours is the cheapest property on the market. Whether it's a house or a vacant lot, you want to make sure yours is the cheapest, because then what happens? You sell your deals quickly. So you can only sell deals people want to buy. The other thing that's real important, and there's only 2 reasons why properties don't sell. You ready? This is very complicated. I'm just kidding. There's only 2 reasons why properties won't sell, whether it's houses or land. Number 1, it's overpriced. You're just asking too much for it, okay? If you want to see overpriced properties, just go to Redfin or Homes.com and look for properties that have been on the market for over 60 days, over 90 days, over 6 months. Why? It's one of these 2 reasons. It's overpriced, or it's not being, or there's something wrong with it. But even if there was something wrong with it, if it was priced properly, it probably still would sell. The second reason is you're not marketing it in front of the right people. If all you've done is put it on Facebook Marketplace, or put it out there in a few Facebook groups, or called a few neighbors, send some neighbor letters, that might not be enough. This is why it's so important to put all of your deals on the MLS. I firmly believe 100% you should list all your properties with realtors and sell them in the open market, because that's where most of the eyeballs are, okay? That's going to get it on Zillow. It's really hard to list vacant land as for sale by owner on Zillow. It's hard, even if you did get it on Zillow, Zillow makes it hard to find. So there's just, I don't know why, but Zillow has made it really, really difficult to find for sale by owners. Just eat the cost, okay? Some people resist this, and I don't understand why. Just hire realtors to sell your deals for you, and this will help you with the whole licensing, brokering without a license stuff, okay? Just either get your license or work with realtors who are licensed, but get it in front of the right people. All right, now, you get a deal under contract. Hey, come on, bring it to me. I'll buy it. I'll partner with you on it. Let me talk about this, because this is really critical. You need to make sure, if it's not me, get somebody on your team, in your corner, that will fund the deals. I will fund them. I will close them. I will turn around and sell them. I will find the title company, the local title company. I probably already have some there. I'll do all the due diligence. I'll find the people to take the pictures. I'll find the realtor. I'll list it on the MLS. I'll handle all the buyers. I'll take care of everything. I'll use my money. And then we will just split the profits, 50-50. Now, you don't have to bring me your deals, obviously, right? But I only do this for students, which, by the way, I'm going to talk about this in a minute. If you want to know how to work with me right now, I have a few openings left at joemccall.com/go on a little small group coaching thing that I'm doing for 12 weeks. It's very, very affordable. Go to joemccall.com/go right now to check it out, because it's going to fill up, and I'm shutting it down this weekend. If you're watching this video later, don't worry. Go there, and if it's open, because I'm opening it and I'm closing it, if it's still open, you can still apply and get into it. It's very inexpensive. I have a crazy guarantee. If you complete the marketing challenge, the marketing plan in the challenge, and you do not get a deal under contract, I'll refund all your money. And we're going to be getting together. We're going to have a workshop in St. Louis sometime soon, where we're going to, I'm going to do a bunch of marketing, give you a bunch of leads, and we're going to spend the whole day just making offers. And if you get one of your offers accepted, it's your deal. And I'm wanting to partner with you on it, but yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And we'll go to a Cardinals game that night, or a St. Louis City soccer game, or something like that. Cool. joemccall.com/go. Back to the mind map. Now, there are some minimum criteria, and this is my minimum criteria. And if you're going to bring a deal to me or any funding company, you have to know your minimum criteria for your due diligence. And this is really important. You have to have like a minimum buy box, and never, ever, ever deviate from this buy box. It's tempting sometimes to become the motivated buyer. Do you know what a motivated buyer is? You know, it's somebody that's so desperate for a deal, they're willing to compromise on their minimum standards. And you don't want to do that. You're asking for trouble. You make your profit when you buy, not when you sell. So do not become the motivated buyer. Never, ever, ever try to turn lemons into lemonade when it comes to real estate deals. Okay, that's the fastest way to lose your shorts and to lose a lot of money. And you might be like, well, Joe, man, I'll just be happy to make $1,000, you know. Do not chase the $1,000 deals. Don't try to create deals out of nothing. Write this one down. This is really important. You are deal finders, not deal creators. Don't get into this trap of trying to create deals out of nothing where there was nothing. The seller's not motivated. Make your offer, move on. You're deal finders, not deal creators. Now, there's a place a time and a place for like creative financing where you can give the seller multiple options or whatever. That's not what I'm talking about here. There is a place for that. But, if you're just getting started, don't worry about all of the creative ways to buy deals right now. Just focus on cash offers. That's it. And make an offer for the numbers that work for you. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit here, the minimum criteria, but do not compromise on those boundaries. Will you promise me that? Because you may think, oh man, if I can just make $1,000, that'll be great. Chances are you won't. Chances are you're going to get a deal that your purchase price is going to be too high. You're not going to be able to find a buyer. And if hopefully you don't actually buy it, but as you market it, you're going to have to go back to the seller and say, I'm sorry, I can't buy it. And then that doesn't look good for us in the industry. There's so many people out there right now getting properties under contract and then canceling them because they're not good deals. So stop it. Stop getting bad deals under contract. You need to become a deal finder, not a deal creator. The deals will come if you make enough offers. I said this last video, number 4. If you make enough offers, the deals will come. I promise you. Back to the mind map, right? So here's some of the things that we look at. And kind of not necessarily in any importance, but this is kind of number 1, access. If it does not have access, I pass pretty much every single time. But I'm going to ask the seller, do you have an easement? If it's a really smoking hot deal in a great area and I've got a lot of profit in the deal, I might consider maybe trying to get legal access to the property. All right. Sometimes it can be done. You might have to call some neighbors. You need to call a local survey company. You need to find out, call a county. What's it going to take? What do I need to do to get access to the property? So I'm not talking about getting a road carved, to the property, but legal access, legal entitlement to the property. And that you might be able to do that for just $1,000. So if you're standing to make 20, 30 grand net profit on a deal, it might be worth spending $1,000, $2,000 to get a survey, to hire an attorney, or get somebody to help you get that property. Access, by the way, yeah. This is important. Sometimes you just don't know doesn't have access until you actually send somebody out there. You might send a realtor. You might send somebody to go take pictures, like a drone pilot or something. But that's really, really important to consider. We've had several deals where it looked like on satellite it had road access, but when you get there, it's actually a neighbor's driveway. And this has happened to me once. I've seen it happen to other people where you send the photographer or the realtor out there to take pictures, and the neighbor comes out with a shotgun. It's like threatening them, get off my property. So that's when I'd probably just pass on that deal, right? Or I had a student going through this right now, and they actually called the seller and called the owner who had the gun and found out, like, hey, listen, I know it looks like, it was a nice guy. He said, I know it looks like that is a road to this other property, but it's not. It's actually my driveway and blah, 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 blah. And don't let it intimidate you. It's just kind of how it goes. Terrain is another big deal. Why is that? I mean, you have to be able to get on the property. If it's on the side of a mountain, if it's in the middle of the desert, or if it's in a floodplain. Well, I kind of cover that here, but you need to know the terrain. How steep is the slope of the property? What percentage of the property is flat? Whatever. One of the cool things about Priced is you can get comp reports, or the comp reports from Priced, P-R-Y-C-D, and they will give you a slope analysis of the property to tell you what percent of the property is between what different slope percentages, which is pretty cool. And that kind of a report you can, give to your buyers who are looking at your deal. Now, here's the thing. I've heard of guys that have sold properties that are on the side of a mountain. And why, I don't know. But there's mountain climbers that would buy that kind of a property if it's in a desirable enough area. So I'm not saying you'd pass on it, but take a deep look at it and see, are there other properties nearby that are like this? And you never know. Maybe instead of your normal 90 days that I get for due diligence and to find a buyer, maybe you get 6 months. Maybe give the seller an option contract, which, by the way, you can get at simplelandkit.com, the actual option contracts. And you may tell the seller, listen, I'm looking at this property here, and I don't think this is going to be a good deal. I don't think I can buy it, but I might be able to find somebody else who can buy it. And then you can use a regular 6-month option agreement. So the seller knows you're not going to close on it, but you might find I'm thinking about doing a YouTube video, a new video series on YouTube's on options, how to learn what options work and how they work. You can do them for houses or land, commercial properties. You can use options for anything, and they're pretty amazing because it gives you equitable interest in the property while you try to figure out if you actually do want to buy it or not. So you can sell the option if you find another buyer, or you can actually exercise your option, buy the property, then turn around and sell it, and so get hard money on it or something like that. All right, the other big thing that's important to know about, and this isn't an exhaustive list again because I might be forgetting something here. HOAs, okay, homeowners associations. Sometimes they're very restrictive. Sometimes they have large monthly HOA dues, like it could be $300 a month, which is a lot, right? Those are going to be harder properties to sell. The best, easiest properties to sell are the ones with no restrictions, where you can put a trailer on there, you can go hunting on it, you can ride your four-wheelers, you can put a tiny house, you can do whatever you want. Those are the easiest properties to sell, especially with owner financing. Not that HOAs are bad, but if you get a property with a lot of restrictions, it just makes it a lot harder to sell. You need to be aware of that. You need to look at, in that HOA community, how many active listings are there? How long have they been on the market, and how many sold? Sometimes in these real restrictive HOAs that are, have a lot of restrictions, are only big houses are put there. You'll see, for every 1 or 2 sold, you might see 20 or 30 actively listed. That's not a good community. You want to stay out of those kinds of areas. Okay. But HOAs are important to understand. Probate. So is the title clear or not? This happens a lot. Unfortunately, with land, it happens a lot with houses as well. But somebody is deceased, they passed, and it's been a couple years. And when you actually want to close on it, there's going to be something that maybe comes up that says, hey, you need to file a death certificate, or you need to file this with the county. And every county is different. So you need to work with a local title company. Find out who they recommend for a probate attorney that can help clear this thing up. Again, if it's a really smoking hot deal and there's a lot of profit in it, I would get more involved in the probate process. Otherwise, I'm just going to pass on the deal. Okay. I'll tell the seller, listen, contact this attorney. When you get it figured out, let me know, and then I'll send you a contract. Okay. Or you could use an option agreement, which is in simplelandkit.com. But sometimes we work with the seller, helping them to clear this stuff out. We tell them, we call the title company, we call an attorney, we figure it out, and we tell them, all right, seller, you need to get this and this signed. Go get these 3 people to sign this thing, and then let me know when it's done. And then you kind of are acting as a liaison between the title company or the attorney and the sellers, right? If you find a good deal though, and it's kind of stuck in this probate world, don't necessarily give up on those deals. Those can be really, really profitable deals. Just don't rely on the attorney or the title company to do all the work for you. They don't have much incentive about that, okay? You kind of need to be the driver of that and make sure that it goes through. We've had deals where we've had to call the seller 100 million times. Like, hey, did you get this? Did you sign it yet? Send it, please. Don't forget. Okay, thanks. Hey, 3 days later, did you send that thing yet? No, I can't. You can't find the email. Okay, no problem. Let me send it again. Hey, would you like me to send a mobile notary to your house to get it signed? Oh, okay. I'll tell you what, I got you on the phone right now. Let me just send it right now. Okay. Can you open your email? Did you see this? Okay, now go ahead and print that. Okay, great. Did you print it? All right, go ahead and sign it right now. You see what I'm doing here? I'm kind of being annoying, but you sometimes on these good deals, you just kind of have to do that kind of pressure and pushing that through to get through. All right. Floodplains, wetlands. We've sold deals before in wetlands, but it's really important to know, especially when you're negotiating with the seller on the price. I use Land ID. Used to be called MapRight. And there's a great way you can turn on these overlays to see if it's in a wetland or floodplains or not. There's free resources online that you can use that. So that's important to know. Not that it's a deal killer, but you're going to have to disclose it when you actually are advertising the property, okay? Back taxes, liens, and judgments. That's really important. Not a deal killer again, because, let's say you're buying it for $20,000, which means the seller's going to get $20,000. But the seller has to know that if there are back taxes and liens and judgments, those are going to be satisfied at closing. So in other words, the seller doesn't get $20,000. The seller gets $20,000 minus back taxes, liens, and judgments. So they might only get $15,000 or $20,000. Now, this can sound intimidating, but in my experience, back taxes usually aren't that much. Taxes are maybe $300, $400, $500 a year. That can add up with interest and penalties, but it's not as much as you might think. And the other thing with liens and judgments, many times those can be negotiated. So you're going to have to do this, but you could call the lien holder, the judgment holder, and say, "Hey, listen, we want to buy this property, but I'm not going to be able to buy it if this judgment, let's say it's $10,000. Can you negotiate on this judgment at all? If I could get you paid something within the next 30 days, what's the least you would take?" And many times I've seen this happen a lot. You can negotiate these liens and judgments down to 5-10% of the original value. Again, bigger deals, more profitable deals. This is going to take some work, some patience, but this is a great way to make a lot of money on these deals and high profit and help the seller out. Help the seller because these liens and judgments are on their credit report. I mean, they can't go and get another mortgage with these things still hanging on there. So it's not like you're taking advantage of the seller in a rough spot. You're helping them get these taxes and liens and judgments removed from their credit report. Now, for me, I don't like doing the small deals. It's too much work for too little profit. You can do just as much work on the bigger deals and make more money. So minimum sale price, 30 grand. Maximum, maybe 200, depends. I've done bigger deals than that, but that's kind of my sweet spot. Why? Because that's where the biggest pool of buyers are, all right? And that's where you're going to make the most money. So in other words, if I'm going to sell it for $30,000, what is the most that I'm going to be in the deal? 50%, right? So this is another huge minimum criteria. You want to make sure your maximum offer price all in is 50%. Occasionally I'll go over a little bit, but never over 60. And that's only for the bigger deals, maybe 300,000 or plus or more, right? But if you want funding to help you, if you want private investors to help you with your land deals, you have to be in less at 50%, unless it's a really hot area, smoking hot deal, which it probably is. This is kind of important too, but perk tests, surveys, trash on property, the condition of the property. Because sometimes you could just, if it's a good enough deal, spend $500 on a perk test, spend $1,000, $2,000 on a stake survey, pay somebody to go for $500 and clean out the trash and brush hog some of the underbrush at the front of the property, maybe cut out a walkway or something. So if it's a good enough deal, this is where you can spend a little bit of money, which will help sell it faster. Make sense? Okay. Now, how do you sell your deals? I just thought of something else here. Pictures are really important. When you sell your deals, let's talk about pictures first, actually, since I did it. Just like staging a house, it's really critical that you put your best foot forward. You think about curb appeal, that kind of stuff. When you're looking at hundreds of properties, your eyes are always naturally drawn to the nicer pictures, right? Not the ugly plot maps or I see sometimes realtors will take a picture of the map on the phone and that will be the picture they upload to the MLS. Don't do that. It's worth the extra money to pay somebody to go take pictures. And I'm not talking about iPhone photos. I'm not talking about screenshots of Google Street View. I'm talking about a professional photographer with a DSLR camera or something really nice where there's blue sky in the background, okay? And then a drone photo. You want somebody to get up there and take drone pictures. That you'll sell your deals faster and for more money when you do that. Very important. Just like staging a house, really critical, okay? Pictures are critical and important to sell your deals. First thing I want you to do, this is so important. I want you to call 20 local realtors who have sold properties in that area before. You just go to homes.com. When you call them, you tell them, hey, you're looking for buyers. You're not looking for them to list the property. So just go to homes.com, look in the area, go to land only, then do a search for it, then click solds, and then sort the whole list by recent sales. And when you open up each of those listings that come up, you'll find the listing agents and the buyer's agents, phone numbers and emails. Call at least 20 realtors who have sold vacant land there recently in the last 6 or 12 months and say, hey, how you doing? I see you sold this property for $20,000 an acre. I'm an investor in St. Louis, and I see I just got a property under contract that I'm thinking about buying, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. I haven't bought it yet, but I'm thinking about turning around and selling it for, what did I say? You sold this one for 20 grand an acre. I'm thinking about turning around and selling it for $15,000 an acre. And I want to know if you have maybe a buyer that might be interested. I'll pay you 10% commissions, 8 to 10% commissions if you bring me a buyer. So I'm not asking them to list it. I'm just like asking them, hey, if you can make a couple phone calls or send a few texts, you can make really good commissions. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. So that realtor knows I'm from out of town. I'm an investor. Maybe they know I'm a wholesaler, and they're thinking, all right, well, shoot, I can sell this. So then it comes into a whole other discussion. I talk about this in my course. You tell them, listen, so I want to sell it for this, but if we can just do an assignment and I don't have to use my private money or I don't have to pay double closing costs, if we can just do an assignment, then I can sell it for this lower price, $5,000 less, right? That probably wouldn't work for you, would it? Your broker wouldn't allow us to do that, would they? I'm trying to get this realtor to think big picture, save less money, look like a hero to their client. Hey, listen, I negotiated a cheaper price, $5,000 less, but we need to do an assignment so that way we can just do one closing. Do you see what I'm doing? This is one of my favorite ways to sell my deals is using realtors, letting them know up front, I'm a wholesaler, letting them know that I don't know what I'm going to do with this property yet. I might buy it and sell it with owner financing. But, I've got 10, 20 realtors that I'm going through and I'm calling all of them here. I'm selling this at a good deal. You got to make sure you're selling it at the right price, a good price, cheaper than anything else out there. And all that realtor needs to do is make some phone calls, send some text messages, and they'll say, yeah, I got a buyer. You don't have a title company? I got a title company. Now, my buyer can save $5,000 if we do an assignment. Yeah, let me call the title company and ask them if they can do assignments. Do you see where we're going here? Yes. I've made 6 months ago or so, we did a $45,000 assignment fee doing this very thing. The property was actually listed with an agent. We sold it with an agent who had a buyer, brought him to us. We didn't use any of our own money. And, I thought wholesaling was illegal, immoral, and fattening. Not when you do it with realtors. Okay, now the next thing I want you to do is I want you to call other land buyers who bought properties recently in that area. And I don't have the time to show you, but if you just go to propstreamjoe.com, put in the zip code of where your property is or the county, and just say, all right, go to show me all the vacant lots. Show me the ones that have sold in the last 6 months, and show me the investors who bought land that own 5 or more properties who have bought land there in the last 6 months. And you're going to get a list of 50 to 100. Download that list, call them all, skip trace them, Google them, find phone numbers, send them a handwritten yellow letter. Hey, I desperately need to sell my property. Help me, help me, help me. The actual letters I send to my buyers when I find a deal is at thesimplelandkit.com. It's a very simple letter that just where I'm like pretending I'm a desperate, motivated buyer and I need to sell this property right now, or my world's going to fall apart and I'm going to have to go on antidepressants or something like that. Okay. I don't know. It's like urgent, desperate. I need your help. I handwrite the letter. I crumple it up. I fold it back out. I send it in invitation envelopes, handwritten. And I get a huge response from those letters. I'm telling you, if you guys just do these two things, you'll sell all of your deals. And guess what? If you can't sell your deals by calling local realtors, calling and mailing, physical mail, recent land buyers, you probably don't have a good deal. Also, if I won't lend on the deal, you probably don't have a good deal. Isn't that great to know? You can find this out in 1 week, whether you have a good deal or not. This is so cool. As you talk to these investors, they'll tell you, nah, you know what? That's, it's too sloped. It's not good enough access. That's too much. I don't want it. Well, wait a second. What price would you want it? I can go back and renegotiate. I'm not trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes. I'm upfront and honest with them, what I'm doing. I'm a wholesaler and all that stuff. Okay. I just had a client yesterday. This is yesterday. Sent out my postcards, is getting an incredible response rate with these postcards. Got the deal under contract. Oh yeah. There was a hang up. The seller got his postcard hung up, didn't leave any message or nothing. And my client kept on calling him back after the third try, got a hold of the guy, negotiated the deal, got it under contract for $7,000. Okay. $7,000. 2 days later, maybe 3, found a realtor that would just list it on the MLS as a flat fee listing. Found a realtor. He didn't own it yet. Found a realtor to list it. He listed it for 21 grand. It was worth about 30 grand. I'm telling you, he was aggressive with his pricing. He knew what his buyers wanted. He knew what they would be willing to pay. And he knew if I price it at 21, I'm going to sell it quickly. And sure enough, same day, within 1 day, within 24 hours, a buyer calls him through another realtor, full price, 21 grand. Just like that. Okay? When you do get a property and you want to list it, remember, I'm not calling these realtors to list it, but sometimes they will want to list it. But I do a lot of flat fee listings at brokerless.com, brokerless.com. Get your properties on the MLS. I already talked about that. And it does help if you already own the property. So that's when you want to use, if you need to use somebody else's money. Okay. Finally, there's places you can advertise your properties. The first thing everybody should do is get their own Facebook business page. Get a page on Facebook, and you can list all your properties on your business page, right? You don't need to have a website. Just put them on the page. It lets you upload multiple pictures. You put your phone number. I use FreedomSoft phone numbers for buyers. You can also put it on Marketplace, but I've had a lot of struggles and problems with Marketplace. I don't know, understand. It's frustrating. You can do it on groups, local, regional, national groups. You can list your properties there, investor groups. These are two good websites, Landflip and landmodo.com, that are more investor friendly. My man, what's his name? Scott Todd has a great website at landmodo.com. I'd recommend checking that out, especially if you're selling your deals with owner financing. Both of these, you have to pay a little bit to get your properties on, but they're good. Now, land.com is ridiculously expensive, but it does have, we were paying like $600 a month. We just recently canceled it because we're selling all of our deals on the MLS. But if you want, you can put them on land.com. Also, when you're calling realtors to help you find buyers or to list your property, you can find great realtors on land.com because these are realtors that are paying that $600 a month to get their properties in the featured section. So check them out. Okay. Now, I want to talk about this real quick. When you're selling your deals, you can sell them for cash, piles of cash, like wholesaling profits, or streams of cash. Now, this is so important to understand. When you're selling your deals, for every one buyer that you get for cash, you're going to get 5 buyers calling you wanting to do owner financing. So there is no better way in real estate right now to get cash flow than with vacant land, because you're not dealing with tenant headaches and hassles. You're not worrying about Dodd-Frank when it comes to owner financing and all of that. It's a great way to get cash flow. But here's the thing, you might have a higher default rate with land than you would with houses, but a lot of times with our deals, we're not in that. We're not borrowing money for our deals, okay? And if we are borrowing money, we get it paid off in a year or less because we're only borrowing a little bit of money. So if a buyer defaults, not a big deal. You just find another buyer. And so you get so many buyers, especially in the recreational land in the hot areas where there's a lot of demand. Because remember, at the very beginning, day one, we're only focusing on areas with high demand. So when you can advertise owner financing, you can get cash flow really, really fast. If your goal is to make 10 grand a month in passive cash flow, there is no better, faster, easier way than with vacant land. I promise you this. One of the things that got me so excited about vacant land is one of my clients that I trained and helped do houses, wholesaling houses. He was getting tired of it, didn't like it, and he was getting tired of the competition. I said, hey, you should check out land. And I was telling him a little bit about what I do. I didn't have a course at the time, and so I recommended some other guys' courses to him. Talked to him 11 months later, not even 12 months later, and he's already at $12,000 a month in cash flow from deals just in the last 12 months or whatever. A year, already at 10 to 12 grand a month in cash flow on his deals. Did he have any toilets to fix? Any roofs to repair? Any hot waters to replace? Any tenant hassles and management fees? Did he pay any property manager? No. These are just notes. Owner financing. Be the bank. Don't be the landlord, be the bank. And there's a high demand for owner financing. It's a great way for cash flow. I just want you guys to know that. And so piles of cash is like wholesaling. Streams of cash is like cash flow. Now, this calculator I have that you guys can get at simplelandkit.com, because there's a lot of really cool things here. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit on this spreadsheet. Now, this spreadsheet has a lot of tabs here on the bottom. One of the things that I like to look at is let's just look at an example deal. Let's say it's a 1.5 acre lot. It's worth $28,000. I'm going to typically buy it at maybe 40 cents on the dollar. So I know that's really small. I'll try to zoom in. So I'm going to buy it maybe for cash for $11,200. Okay. Now, if I sell it with owner financing, I'm going to bump it up a little bit, 5 to 10%. I'm going to sell it for a little bit more than what it's worth today when I sell it with owner financing. So I might sell it for $30,800. Now, if I sell it with cash, I'm going to sell it at a discount. So I might even sell it at 85%, 90% of what it's worth. So it's worth 28 today. I'm going to sell it for 25. Now, my average closing cost, let's say, is $2,000. And let's say 2,500 for closing costs and photography, pictures. I'm going to pay a realtor 10% commissions. I'm always try to be really generous on my commissions. So my total money into the deal is $16,500. If I wholesale that deal, I'll make net $8,700. Not bad. It's 52% return on my money. If you sell that same deal with owner financing, so it's worth 28. I sell it with owner financing for 30,000, and I'm buying it for 11,000. Let me show you. Instead of making $8,700 in profit, let me show you how much profit you're going to make if you sell it with owner financing. So let's say I sell it with owner financing for over 5 years, 10% interest, and I'm going to get just a 5% down payment. So I'm going to get $1,500 down. So the amount financed is $29,260. My cash out of pocket is $14,960. Now, some of you may not even have that. That's fine, but you can find private investors who can partner with you on this deal that will have that kind of money. I might even be able to fund it for you if it's a good deal. So your cash out of pocket is $15,000. You might have that in a self-directed IRA right now, and you can invest that money into land. Now look at this. Your monthly payments from that buyer is going to be $621. $621 monthly cash from that. So in the first year, you're going to be at $7,500 total payments, total paid back. Total profit on that deal, $22,341. Now, you can make $8,700 if you sell it now, or you can make $22,000 if you sell it over time with payments. And you get $621 in cash flow if you own it free and clear. If you use private money, maybe your cash flow is $300 a month. Guys, we're talking infinite return if you're using OPM, other people's money. But let's say you were using your own money right here. You're using your own money and you paid $14,000 out of your IRA, your self-directed IRA, but you don't have to pay any taxes on the profits. All right. Your first year cash on cash return is 55%. Now with houses, you're lucky if you can get 10 to 12% cash on cash return. What is cash on cash return? It's simple. It's a formula to show of the cash that I put in the deal, how much cash am I getting back in the first year? And when you look at the spreadsheet and you figure in, okay, the down payment plus the monthly cash flow, you see my formula here, okay, divided by how much money is actually in the deal, you make 54% in that first year. You make total over the 5 years, you make 135% return on your money. How long does it take to get your money back? 1.83 years. You see what I'm saying here? You cannot get, what kind of house can you put $15,000 in and get $620 a month in cash flow? Net cash flow. I'm telling you guys that are, there is a time and a place for owning rental properties. But you're not going to buy a rental property for $15,000 and get $600 a month in cash flow, net cash flow, without all the headaches. Obviously, you can get a mortgage. You're going to need to put 25% down. You're going to be paying 8% interest on that thing. You're going to have that note that you're going to have to pay for 30 years. You're going to have to fix things every 1 or 2 years, major things in that property. You're going to have vacancies. You're going to have property management fees. Like I could go on and on and on. You might think you're cash flowing, quote unquote, a couple $100 a month, but I guarantee you one vacancy will wipe that out every 2 years. You won't be making any cash flow on that. Now you get appreciation, you get tax benefits and write-offs. There's a place for that. But where else can you get 55% on your money for just $15,000? Where else can you put $15,000 in real estate and get $620 a month in cash flow? Now, let's say you wanted to make $100,000 a month in passive cash flow. Passive cash flow. This is all about monthly recurring passive cash flow, not active cash flow. How many deals? You like all the camera flipping around? Sorry about that. If you wanted to make $100,000, that's $8,300 a month. You would need 13 of those properties. If you did one of these deals a month, it would only take you 13 months. It would only take you 13 months to make $100,000 a year doing one of these deals. Now, obviously, you're going to need the money to buy those deals. You need 13 of those deals. But, a lot of you guys, you already have that right now inside of your self-directed IRA. You have private investors that can partner. I have people in my community that will partner with you on these deals. You want to get into my community? Right now, go to joemccall.com/go. All right, so we got to wrap this up. This is a really cool spreadsheet. One of the other cool things that you can do, I have another tab in here. Right now it's called offer priced based on Pebble Scraper tool. I'm going to rename that to offer priced based on price per acre. Okay. So you can put in the numbers here of like what is the active median home price, active median price per acre, sold median price per acre, how many acres is the property, what's your minimum wholesale fee, realtor commissions, etc. And this is going to help you figure out a cash offer. But what I want to show you here, this is a simple formula. I'm a spreadsheet geek. This basically is walking down to, all right, this property is worth $38,500. I'm going to actually list the property for $32,700. And if I'm going to wholesale it and make 10 grand, I'm going to offer the seller $17,500. I'm going to offer the seller $17,500, max 50%. So I'm at 45%. I'm good. I'm going to sell it for $32,700. Excuse me. And I'm going to make $10,000 wholesale profit. That's awesome, right? If I'm using private money, I might offer $15,520, and I'm going to make $10,000 just wholesaling that. That's awesome. Sometimes a fast nickel is better than a slow dime. But what if you offered the seller something creative and said, all right, I'll pay you cash. The cash offer is, say, 15 grand. Or what if you double that and say, hey, I'll buy it. If you would do owner financing, Mr. Seller, I will double the price. I'll pay you 15 grand in cash, or I'll pay you 31,000 if you do owner financing. 0 down. You could do 0 interest, 5 years. Now, the great thing about buying on seller financing, now I'm getting a little bit advanced here. I told you before, like we're deal finders, not deal creators. Here we are kind of creating a deal a little bit. But listen to this. When you can give the sellers options, you can say, I'll buy it for cash or I'll buy it with seller financing. Now you have like 5 different things you can negotiate with the seller. You can negotiate the price. You can negotiate the down payment, the term, the interest rates, when payments start. What if you also negotiated, hey, listen, I'm going to turn around and sell this as owner financing. If my buyer doesn't pay that month, I'm not going to pay you that month. You could even negotiate that if you wanted to. But let's say now you say to the seller, I'm going to double. I'll pay you 15 grand cash, or I'll pay you 31 grand if you would do owner financing. 0 down. And remember, this property is worth 38 grand. So I'm giving them close to full asking price. Now bear with me here. You might think I'm crazy, but I'm not paying them any down payment, any interest. This is interest free, principal only payments of $517 a month. I'm going to turn around and sell it. I'm going to bump the price up even more a little bit. I'm going to bump it up 25%. So it's worth, what did we say? Today it's worth about $38,000. I'm going to sell it for $48,000 on seller financing. Now I'm going to collect let's collect 5% down payment from the buyer. And I'm going to sell it on owner financing at 10.9%. Do you see where I'm going with this? I'm paying 0%. I'm paying $517, but I'm charging at a higher price, 10.9% interest. And I'm collecting from the buyer $627. So my cash flow for the first 5 years, because I'm paying the seller off, is $110. Not much to be excited about, but guess what's my cash flow for the next 5 years? $627 a month. My total profit on the deal is this minus what I've paid to the seller. My total profit on the deal is now $45,000. You see the power of this, selling with seller financing? And I'm using none of my own money. In fact, this is the ultimate cash now, cash flow, cash later, okay, for the most part. But I'm not paying the seller anything down up front. I do have some closing costs, but I'm actually collecting $2,500 from my buyer that I'm selling the deal to. I'm paying a little bit in cash flow payments to that seller, but I'm collecting a little bit. So ideally, maybe just break even over the first. What if you said to the seller, hey, let's do 3 years. That may not work because look, now I'm negative $234 a month for the first 5 years, for the first 3 years. But then for the next 7 years, I'm getting $627. So maybe I can afford being a little negative. Depending on your budget, it's not that much money. Maybe it is. I don't know. You know, you can negotiate. You could say, all right, let's amortize it over 10 years. And you could do a balloon in 5 if you wanted. You could, let's say you could do 5% down, maybe pay the seller. They want some interest, so you ask them how much. Let's say you do 3% interest. So then you're looking at, okay, well, you're paying 3%. You're paying them a little bit down. And you're selling it over 10 years, though, and you're paying for 10 years. So your cash flow is going to be $342 for the whole 10 years. So there's a lot of different ways you can do this. Play around with it. I know I might have just lost a lot of you guys, but my point is this. When you sell your deals with owner financing, you're going to make a lot more money on that. And you're going to get to passive cash flow because now you don't have to work. When you're wholesaling, it's great, but if you don't do a deal that month, you don't make any money. If you start selling maybe 25, 50% of your deals, you sell with wholesaling, and the other 25, 50% you sell with owner financing. Within a year or 2 years, guys, you could be potentially completely free, out of the rat race. Your monthly recurring revenue coming in exceeds your expenses. You can quit your job and do whatever you want. All right. So listen, I've got a jet. I've talked to you guys already about this thing, joemccall.com/go. When you go there, joemccall.com/, when you go there, you're going to go to a site that looks like this. A little video of me talking about this thing. I'm doing a small group coaching program right now just for 20 people. If you're watching this as a replay later, it might be open. I might reopen it again then. So if the page is closed, then you know it's closed. But if it's open, you can still sign up. Private coaching with me. Normally when I sell one-on-one coaching, it's $25,000. This is a lot cheaper. It's $3,000 or 3 payments of $1,000. But this is what you get. You get private coaching with me. I'm going to do a workshop in St. Louis every quarter, every 2 to 3 months, where I'm going to do a bunch of marketing. You're going to come hang out with me, and we're going to just make a bunch of offers. This is a small group, 20 people, so there might be 10 people there. I don't know. We're going to do accountability. You get a scorecard. You have to report on your numbers every week. We're going to do one-on-one small group calls every Monday and Thursday mornings. We check in, see how you're doing. You get to text me or Voxer me. It's a walkie-talkie app throughout the week. I'll personally review all your deals. I'll fund and JV on all your deals. We have a small network private community. And if you complete your marketing plan and do not do a deal in the 3 months, in the 12 weeks, I'll refund you the $3,000. Okay. So check this out. It's only $3,000 or 3 payments of $1,000. I want to sell this out. So hopefully I get to work with some cool people. The reason I'm doing this, the reason why it's so cheap is because I just want to do more deals. And I know you guys already know what you need to do, guys. You know, and you're sick and tired of learning. You're sick and tired of being a professional student. You're sick and tired of being overwhelmed and intimidated. You just want somebody in your corner that can help you and do deals with you, that can hold you accountable, that you can go to and ask questions when you get stuck on a deal. I would have loved to have this when I was getting started, okay? So sign up right now, joemccall.com/go. I appreciate you all. I really do. We'll see you later. Take care.